Welcome to the special What Did I Miss This Summer edition of Hashtag Trending. I'm your host, Jim Love. Let's get into it. I started out following one story, which might have been finally an announcement of GPT-5 from OpenAI. And I ended up going down a rabbit hole and reflecting on the summer stories about AI, which, fairly or not, focused on OpenAI and the hope for that next big development, GPT-5. There were two blockbuster stories this summer. CrowdStrike brought the Windows world to its knees on the cybersecurity front, and OpenAI dominated the chatter on the AI front. In fact, OpenAI has mastered the art of keeping our attention. You'd think that with all the drama of firing their CEO and then bringing him back 3 days later, they would have used up all their drama points, but they've found a way to keep themselves in the forefront of the news. One of their tactics was tried and true. First, you keep yourself in the leadership by announcing new projects or new software without a clear delivery date. In fairness, that's been a strategy for software companies for decades. But that strategy has a drawback. If you announce too early, by the time you finally do release the new feature, it's yesterday's news. And sometimes people would compare what was promised and go, is that all there is? Steve Jobs changed all that. Apple became the most secretive of organizations. All you knew is that they were going to announce something great, and because it was a secret, you were going to see it for the first time. And Jobs was the absolute master of suspense. No matter how sensational the release was, he kept back one more thing. But OpenAI has mastered both aspects of this, at least over this summer. They've kept the rumor mill going with more leaks than a sieve in a rainstorm, and they have so many different versions of what to expect that you don't know what to expect. Logically, we've all been looking for GPT-5, the next big step in AI. But instead of GPT-5, Altman and Company released GPT-4o, which the O is being short for Omni. To be fair, if you didn't understand that or know that, neither did I. I had to Google it. Well, actually, I perplexity'd it. I guess it's going to be the new word, the new AI search engine. But the O was short for Omni. And to be fair, it showed us an incredible conversational AI that could not only talk with humans, but appeared to be able to understand us, not just our words, but also our emotions. And this truly multimodal AI, if anything, has finally buried the famous Turing test, that inability to distinguish between a human conversation and one with a machine. This did it. So all of this made us forget that OpenAI had earlier unveiled the most incredible photorealistic version of movie generation software, Sora, and we never figured out what happened to that. The rumors are that OpenAI is busy working with Hollywood studios. Other rumors are that they're not going to release this till after the American election because of its potential for generating really, really great fake videos. But the announcement of 4.0 kept us from realizing we hadn't seen Sora that was available to the rest of us, and we hadn't seen a lot. So the announcement of 4.0 kept us from realizing we hadn't seen the last major development, at least available to the rest of us. So how did they keep the buzz alive? There have been a ton of rumors over the summer. There was Q-Star, not to be confused with QAnon, Q-Star, that was rumored to be a new height in machine intelligence. Was this finally going to be GPT-5? Who knows? All we really got in this area was a lesson from Sam Altman on how artificial intelligence would evolve. AI would first have the intelligence of a child, albeit a child that's read half the internet, but it could only reason, if that were the right term, at the level of a grade school child. Easily fooled. Later versions, Altman said, would be like a smart high school student. So was version 4.0 a demonstration of that level of intelligence? Maybe. To get to that level, you have to be able to solve problems of reasoning. One of those would be tackling a math problem that you've never seen before and solving that. Now, this has to be really frustrating for Google because Google has probably achieved that level of intelligence, actually provably has. Their AI was able to score at the level to win a silver medal in a math competition. Now, I'm Canadian, so anything more than bronze is incredible. But for those who go, what? Why not gold? It had to solve 4 out of 6 tough math problems, which would put it with the brightest math whiz in your high school. Or if you want the stats to compare, only 9% of the total population are even rated as proficient in math. So it's at the top 5% or more of the human population. This is a big deal, but it got almost no attention. The folks at Google have to be beating themselves up over this one. How can they beat OpenAI at their own game and still get nowhere in terms of recognition? Why? OpenAI has mastered this. We were all following the carrot of OpenAI's next revelation. I told you they were good at this. There was QStar, and then we heard about something called Strawberry. Yes, a release called Strawberry. And maybe Strawberry was this new logical AI. And other rumors said that it was going to solve the data problem. And this was a big deal, with models needing more and more data, and OpenAI running into lawsuits for using copyrighted data from novels and news sites, and not being the only ones. Other AI models were having this similar problem. It was going to be the savior of AI. But QStar and Strawberry, we never saw them. But what we got was a new AI model we were chasing. It was going to be called Orion. Now, supposedly Orion had been shown to the U.S. government and the Pentagon, a rumor made more credible by the appointment of Paul Nakasone, a retired U.S. Army general and former director of the National Security Agency, to OpenAI's board of directors in June of 2024. Orion hit the rumor mills big time. There was even one blogger who found a picture of the Orion constellation used somewhere in the background of an OpenAI presentation. Now, at this point, we're going into the land of the older part of our audience might have experienced when the rumors spread that Paul McCartney of the Beatles had died and was replaced by an Ontario OPP officer. But I digress. So this week, end of summer, we finally got an official announcement. Well, sort of. News went out that Tadao Nagasaki, the CEO of OpenAI Japan, might have announced the release date for GPT-5 in a presentation at the KDDI Summit in Japan. Now, for those who don't know it, KDDI is a large-scale business event organized by a major telecommunications company in Japan. Except Tadao didn't announce GPT-5. He did provide some intriguing information about OpenAI's next major language model, which he had a new name for, GPT Next. So at the KDDI Summit, Nagasaki revealed that OpenAI is developing a new AI model called GPT Next, which is expected to be significantly more powerful than its predecessors. Now, when they say significantly, specifically, he stated GPT Next will be 100 times more powerful than GPT-4. Now, key points from Nagasaki's presentation. GPT Next is slated for release in 2024, according to a timeline he showed. The model will reportedly use a smaller version of OpenAI's secretive Project Strawberry. Now, the smaller version comes from this idea that the performance boost is attributed to improvements in the model's architecture, not just increasing computer power or energy used in the computation. Somehow they're going to do this by having a smarter model, better algorithms, or reducing some of the impediments to the logical function. Why is this important? Well, you can't announce in a world of climate change that you're going to have 100 times more effective model and propose to do that only with computational increases. That's going to lead to some bad publicity. But if you can announce that we're going to get 100 times the performance from our model without having to have 100 times the compute, people are going to be listening. And it's important to note that GPT Next is still distinct from GPT-5. While there's been a lot of speculation about GPT-5, OpenAI still not officially announced its development or release date. In fact, OpenAI's CEO Sam Altman stated last November that there were still many things to figure out before they would make a model called GPT-5. So the exact relationship between GPT Next and potential future models like GPT-5 remains unclear. However, Nagasaki's announcement suggests that OpenAI is going to make significant strides in AI development and plans to release this highly capable new model in the near future. So that's what you missed over the summer. A lot of stuff that didn't get released, a lot of stuff that did get released and was overshadowed by rumors, a truly great accomplishment from Google that got no press at all, and some moves forward in deepfakes and photorealistic behavior, a truly great accomplishment from Google that got no press at all, and some huge moves forward in all kinds of areas: deepfakes, photorealistic images, behavior realistic AI, some real functionality that you could actually use in your business. For instance, we did a demo last week using an AI-generated host that replaced me. It was one of our most highly rated daily episodes. But I'm not quitting yet. There were a list of other AI developments that have advanced what's available and useful for companies, and the list goes on. But still, no date for GPT-5, but the promise of even more updates. So where does this leave all of us? Well, for those of us in industry, we know one thing. The pace of this evolution of AI is incredible. But there are developments out there today we still haven't absorbed into our business processes and systems. And no matter what you call it, there is a model coming in a few months, which is potentially 100 times what GPT-4 is. And even that's not what GPT-5 will be. All I can say is, buckle up. We'll try to help you sort out the fact from fiction and the hype from having to start using this. And in this light, we're going to rerun the practical AI episode we did over the Labor Day weekend. My rationale is that it's a great episode featuring two executives, one from a financial services firm, one from a medical firm. There's also another panelist who's one of the brightest technical experts in open systems and system architecture that I know, and a remarkable young woman who is working at the overlap of cybersecurity and AI. Now, the reason I'm repeating it is our stats tell us that our podcast distributor had some difficulties and didn't release this to the majority of our audience. We'll give them a pass on this one, but to anyone who uses a cloud provider who you can only reach with a service request and you get your answers back saying, no problem on our side, you'll identify with how I feel. We'll give them a pass on this and we'll do a rerun. But if you have heard this episode, I'm going to invite you to check out Cybersecurity Today's Week in Review for this week. I also host that show, and this was a great episode. I'll update the show with a link you can follow, or you can just go to technewsday.ca or .com, take your pick, and there should be an obvious link to it. And I'll be back in this news chair on Monday morning with fresh news stories from the world of technology at the corner of tech and business. I'm your host, Jim Love. Thanks for listening. Have a fantastic Friday and a wonderful weekend.